Hello all, good morning, good afternoon and good evening to those who are watching today's IELTS speaking class. We are today going to get together to do some mock speaking practice. So I look forward to seeing as many of you as you can joining the class either through YouTube or Facebook, or if you're able to join the class directly, I look forward to seeing you here as well. So for those who've not seen the class before, my name's Alex, and I will be guiding you today with some tips in relation to how to approach the IELTS speaking exam, and also I'll be providing feedback on IELTS speaking performances for the students who volunteer and get involved in today's class. So if you are watching live, do let me know via either Facebook or YouTube. Just send me a message in the chat box, let me know your name and where you're watching from today. I look forward to as many people as possible getting involved and interacting in today's class. The more people who do interact, the more fruitful and useful the class ends up being. So I can see Jessie has joined us in the class today. Good evening to you, Jessie, and welcome to you. I can also see we've got Shinaj as well, or Erwin. Hello to you, Erwin. Gurpreet is with us. Hello to you, Gurpreet. And Madhushan is here as well, who is watching from Sri Lanka. So a very warm welcome to you, Madhushan. Kadar is with us as well. Hello, Kadar. So we've got a few people joining us right from the beginning, which is great to see. Gladys is watching live as well from the Philippines. Welcome to you, Gladys. We've also got Lee as well, who is watching us. Lee Kapian, welcome to you. Kadar is watching from Lebanon. So, as usual, an international flavour to today's proceedings, which always makes things exciting. Okay. So, it's good to see people joining us, and as we get warmed up and going for and we get going with the class, I look forward to other people joining us as well. As I say, the class is always better when people are directly interactive. So if you have any questions throughout, or if you have any answers to the questions that I will be posing, then please let me know in the chat box, and I'll read those out. Kelly has just joined us from Brazil. Welcome to you, Kelly. And Redouan has joined us as well, who is watching from Algeria. So yeah, a really interesting mix of people from different places around the world joining us today. Okay, so for those of you who have not yet taken advantage of the opportunity, I do want to let you know about the scholarship program. Let me just bring that up. Here we go. So if you do have the desire to work as a nurse in the United States of America, then this is a great program which you can take advantage of. It's offered via combination between Swoosh English and Connetics. And by joining it, you'll be able to get lots of extra support in order to achieve your dreams of living and working in the USA. So do follow the link, which I'm going to share in the chat box now, and click on Staff Nurse if you haven't already taken advantage of this fantastic opportunity. And the link is just being shared now. Okay, so Kadar saying, can I speak about reading? Today is a speaking class, Kadar, unfortunately, so I won't be talking about reading. But if you do join the scholarship program, then we'll be able to provide you with the relevant support in terms of finding out more about reading. But as I say, unfortunately today, I will be focusing on speaking. So if there's any questions you have speaking related, then do take advantage. Okay then, so for today, I want to focus on language for speculation. Okay, this is useful because when responding to IELTS questions, it could be parts 1, 2, or 3, it is likely that for some of the questions you'll have to use language of speculation. So this refers to language which you use to guess or to express possibility. An example here is, do you think more people will move to live in cities in the future? Okay, so this is an example of a question you could get in part 3. So how could you respond to this question? There's no right or wrong answer. What would your response be to this question? Let me know in the chat box how you would respond to the question that's been posed here. Do you think more people will move to live in cities in the future? What would your response be? Okay, so Madhushan is telling us that he will be doing the IELTS on Tuesday, and that this will be helpful for him. I really hope that it is, Madhushan, and I wish you the best of luck with your IELTS exam. Okay, so Claire is saying likely or unlikely as a response. Yep, absolutely. Maybe though, Claire, you'd want to expand your response ever so slightly. Again, thinking about the question, do you think more people will move to live in cities in the future? What do you think? You can say it's likely, you can say it's unlikely, certainly. But what possible responses could you give? Okay, so whilst you're reflecting on that, then I'll read any responses if they come out. But let me give an example of a response that could be given here. So this would be my response to such a question. Okay, a possible answer. So here we go. It's possible that this will happen because there are more opportunities in the city and people are becoming more used to living in areas with lots of other people. So there's my response to the question. Which part of that answer above used language of speculation? Let me know what you think. Okay, so just looking at some other responses here. NASA said, I will better guess. I will better guess. That's not quite a natural expression, NASA. We're going to look at some other expressions going forward, but nice try. Madhushan says, yes, I do, because it offers us more facilities, like better education, health facilities. Okay, that's great. That's a great response. However, there is the opportunity here to use language of speculation. Gurpreet has said, yes, absolutely. People might prefer moving to big cities in the future as they can enjoy the hustle and bustle of the city or want to be close to action and new possibilities. Nice use of the expression hustle and bustle. Also, we've got here might prefer moving to big cities. So there is some that is speculative, isn't it? You're saying that it's possible. You're not saying that it's certain. Okay. Some other suggestions. Jesse says, according to my perception, they can be chances because of more opportunity in cities. Yeah, thanks, Jesse, for that one. Rather than they can be chances, again, I'd use a slightly different expression here. And as I say, we will move on to look at some expressions that we can use to express possibility. In my point of view, it's highly unlikely, says Anna Karenina. Okay, highly unlikely is a good expression there to express possibility. Good. Okay, so a few suggestions here. Bula says, absolutely, since it's the best place to access all amenities and offers educational facilities. Okay, great. So absolutely very confident statement there. Good. Kadar says it's almost certain because countryside is a backwater with fewer cultural facilities, so people tend to be rooted to their culture. Okay, a backwater, nice. Yeah, nice vocabulary there, Kadar. Probably due to wide array of opportunities being offered in the city, says Ian. So probably, again, more speculative there, isn't it? Okay, so looking at the response that I gave here then, and I asked which part of my response used language of speculation. Of course, the part of response using that language was, it's possible that. Okay, so that's one way that we can speculate. There were some other examples in the sentences that I read out just now as well. But what other ways could we express possibility? So other phrases, expressions. As I say, some of you have suggested possibilities already, but Are there any others that you can advise us of? So Ed says, I reckon. Yep, that could be a way to express opinion, isn't it? If you say I reckon, that's a good way to express opinion. Any other ways that we can express probability? Okay. So as I said, there were some that came up in the other suggestions. So people might prefer. So might obviously expresses possibility. Probably also expresses possibility. Yeah, it's probable that is a good one. Absolutely. Maybe. So that was Gurpreet who said that. Gladys says maybe. Yeah, that's a good one as well. Sani, it's likely that. Good. Yeah, we've got a lot going on. A lot of good suggestions here. In my view, says Jesse, again to express opinion. In that case, more than probability, it's opinion. So there's a slight difference between giving opinion and probability. Because if you say, if you give opinion, that's saying that's your perception. But if you express probability, you're saying, something could or could not happen. It's almost an attempt to be a bit more objective, although the effect is quite similar. Most likely, says Ian as well. Okay, good. Got some good ones here. Gurpreet also says people are likely to. Alice also says it's likely. So we've got some good suggestions here. Let's see how many of those we've already looked at. So some of them we've already discussed. It's likely was a very popular one, but some other ones you can see here. It could be the case that that is optional with this expression. It might be that when we use it might be, then we have to use that with this expression. Maybe, perhaps we can use as adverbs. I imagine or I suspect that is another way that we can express possibility. And yeah, we already looked at the final one together. So as an example, you can see that in my response, I've kept the exact same response. I've just changed the first part of it where I'm expressing possibility. So rather than saying that, as I said previously, if we just remind ourselves, it's possible that, I've moved on to say it is likely that. So exact same message. I'm just using a variety of expressions in the two different sentences. So we could use any of these expressions to express the same meaning. With some expressions, we can add even more detail. So with the expressions, it is likely, or it's possible that, we can use quite or very to be more precise in the responses that we give. So you can see here, again, the same response, but I've just added very in order to be to show that I feel more confident about my prediction. So the next question is, what other adverbs could we use instead of quite or very, which would have the same or similar meanings? Are we aware of any? Quite or very are obviously very popular adverbs that we use, but if there are any others that you're aware of, then let me know. Okay. So any suggestions for this one? Good. So Anna says extremely. Yeah, absolutely. Instead of very, we could use extremely, couldn't we? We could say it's extremely unlikely or it's extremely possible that. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty, so it's pretty likely, it's pretty possible. Yeah, pretty likely is a good one, Kadar. We could say pretty likely. We wouldn't really say pretty possible, but certainly pretty likely. Mostly not so much, not in this context. Highly, says Sani. Yep, that's a good one. It's highly likely that, or it's highly possible that. Definitely, we could use that instead of very. Good, some good suggestions. Also, instead of quite, we could use fairly. So it's fairly possible as an alternative for quite. Again, just to provide more variety if we're adding detail to our speculative language. Okay, so For today's practice, then, we're going to be looking at part 2 and part 3 questions. There will be questions which will encourage you to speculate. So let's see if we can use some of this language in today's practice. And I'm going to bring now our first student into the class so that we can do some speaking practice together. Let me see if we have any students who have not joined us for a few weeks. Let's see who we've got in the class today. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to bring Peter into the class to start us off today. So let's do that now. Hi there, Peter.
Hi, hello. How are you? Good?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Are you
Yeah,
doing well today?
thanks. Yeah, I just finished my duty. Yes.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Peter. So, are you comfortable using speculative language?
Somehow it depends with the question.
It always depends on the
Probably, yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good start. Probably is a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, as I said, we're going to start today then with some part 3 questions. So with part 3, just for those who are not as familiar with the speaking as others, this section of the exam usually lasts between 4 to 5 minutes. In the exam, it will be linked to the topic in part 2. The questions will be a Q&A format, so the examiner asks a question, the candidate gives a response, and that continues throughout part 3. The questions will be more abstract than in other parts of the test. So this is where speculation is relevant. It could be relevant in the other sections as well, but in part 3 it comes up a lot because of the fact that you're asked to give opinions and make predictions. And so speculative language is particularly appropriate there. You should make sure that your responses are clearly structured. And also you should give opinions and justify those opinions where appropriate. Okay, so Peter, I want to have a look at the topic of happiness with you today. So my first question to you is, how can children feel happy? What makes children feel happy?
Well, I suppose children has many types of being happy. They become happy sometimes just to see their parents beside them. There are times that children might be happy if they would be having their favorite food. And like, for example, whenever I'm with my son, just the fact that I'm with him, telling him stories about some great stuff. I think with that time, I made him feel happy. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Are children happier now than before?
Well, I suppose children now has a lesser chance to interact with other children. That's why, in my opinion, they are less happy nowadays. It's just because due to this current pandemic, their chances of having interaction with the outside world is just limited. And by saying limited, they are just stuck inside their homes, with the guidance of their parents. So I would say children nowadays are less happy than before.
What's the difference between an adult's happiness and a children's happiness?
Well, for me, children's happiness is very simple. They usually express their happiness by giving hugs or kisses to the adults or to their family members, as compared to the adults, which I would say they usually express their happiness by spending money. I usually see people, like, I mean, adults who usually spend a fortune just to buy food outside to treat their friends whenever they feel happy. So I think that's the common comparison when I'll be asked on how both generation express their happiness.
In your opinion, what is more important, to be happy with work or to get a big salary?
Well, that's a tough question. Being a father, like in a practical way, I would say it's more important to be happier in terms of salary. It's just because if I would be able to provide all the basic needs for my family, that would lead to me being a father to be happy in terms of giving the needs of my family. And later on, it would also uh, tend to make me comfortable at work. It's the family who gives me inspiration to strive hard at work. So that's my opinion in that.
Okay, and finally, do you think everyone shares a similar definition of happiness?
Well, I don't think so. There are some people who relates their happiness through material things, and there are some who relates their happiness by just having a person to communicate with or having a close family tie. So, in my opinion, those are the certain factors that makes people happy nowadays.
Okay, thank you very much there, Peter.
Thank you.
Some no worries. Some really good responses there to those
Yeah.
questions. So you used a variety of language to give opinions. For me, in my opinion, or to disagree, I don't think so. So that was great. There was also, as well, some nice expressions that you were using. So for comparisons, as compared to was used, which was great. Also, you used to what was it? To spend a fortune, which was a nice expression as well to show
Yeah.
variety of vocabulary. Some good techniques as well. So when you were asked a question, you wanted to think a little bit more. You said that's a tough question just before giving
Yeah,
your
yeah.
response, which was great. So some really good variety of vocabulary you were using there. Um, yeah, just not many slips, but just a few points. You said children has, but children is
Okay.
plural. So
Okay. Children
yeah,
have. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And then you talked about giving the needs of my family, but a better verb to use there would be meeting the needs.
A meeting. Okay.
That would be the collocation. Um, but aside from that, I thought it was good. I mean, just one slight point I'd make is you said if I would be able to earn money, I think it was, it would lead to. But when you're speculating, so that was good speculative language. We can use would to speculate, but with if you don't use would in that clause. So you can
Okay.
say, yeah, so if I'm able to do something, or if I were able, or if I was able to do something, that would lead to. Yeah, that's just, it was
Okay.
good that you're using that language to speculate using the second conditional.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't use would twice. Yeah, so just, yeah, if I
Okay.
were able to earn more money,
If
that
I
would lead
were
to.
able to. Okay. If I were able
Exactly,
to. Yeah. Okay.
exactly that. But yeah,
Take note of
otherwise,
that. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, really good, Peter. Really clear pronunciation as well, and you speak at a good natural pace to show good fluency. So good
Okay.
stuff.
Thank you
Okay,
so much, Alex. Yeah.
thank you, Peter. Take care. Okay then. Great start to the class today. Thank you, Peter, for getting us kicked off there. I'm going to bring another student in now. I'm going to bring um, Jesse into the class. Are you there, Jesse?
Yes, Alex, I'm here with you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. How have you been this week, Jesse?
It was a busy week, but
Mm,
apparently we have no other option, because I'm a nurse. So
yeah,
I have to go on work, and yeah, it was a busy week throughout.
and it's challenging. I know the
It
situation
is
where you are, isn't it, in India? Yeah.
yes.
Best of luck, Jesse. Um, I hope things start to calm down soon.
Yeah, I hope so, because
Yeah.
the current situation is very bad, and
Of course.
there is lots of cases which is rising, and death is something which inevitable we cannot stop. And I have got
Mm,
many friends who have passed away, and yeah, I'm really
oh,
very sorry about it. Yeah.
of course, that's terrible. So sorry to hear that, Jesse. Um, okay. Well, we're gonna do some practice, and we're gonna look at a new topic. So the topic that I would like us to discuss is the elderly. So Jessie, as a nurse, you'll be well versed with this, but what are the needs of the elderly?
Uh, it's a very good question because as you grow old, you are called elderly. And one thing elderly people would always like is, compassionate and love. I know for the fact that my mother, she's elderly, and she always wants the love which she desires that she should get from her children. And I think so that is the most important thing any elderly person would like to, the attraction of love.
Okay. And do you think that families have responsibilities when it comes to caring for the elderly?
Definitely, because as a family as a whole, if you go to see, it is we have to look after each other. So when you grow old, it is everybody's responsibility to look after their family. For example, if I say you, it is my responsibility to look after my parents, and when I grow old, I expect the same from my children. So this is a vicious circle, like So there should be a responsibility, and it should everybody should know their own responsibility and pass it on uh, in the family. Yeah.
How can young people help older people when it comes to using technology?
uh, Young people, they learn very quick, and they are tech savvy, as we all know. And when it comes to older people, like for example, I can tell you, when initially when I was given a new mobile, I was finding it very difficult to operate my mobile. So I had to take the help from my children. And yes, now my parents, I started teaching them also, because when I was away from them, when I was working in Abu Dhabi, that was the time I wanted them to learn the new technology, and I taught them also how to use WhatsApp and Skype call and all. So yes, as I told you, that technology is so important that even, there should not be any age barrier to learn this technology.
How can older people play a bigger role in society?
Uh, it's a very good question, because older people, they can give their experience, that that in which way they can give is, they can teach the younger generation whatever experiences they have faced. I mean to say, they can teach, they can be a role model to their younger generation. They can teach the rich culture and values and traditions, so that our younger generation, they don't believe so much in the traditions, so they can play a very vital role to keep up this tradition and value, and teach a good way, so that our younger generation will not get lost, and they can keep up this unity of the family.
And finally, Jesse, how do you think the experience of old age will change for future generations?
uh, how do you think the experience? Yeah, so I think so. Sorry, this is not I think so. I will not repeat that word, because you have corrected me so many times. So I'm sorry about that. I had realized that. So
Shall I repeat the question?
yeah, please.
Yep. So how do you think the experience of old age will change for future generations?
According to me, experience of old age. This is what I'm not getting that answer. I think the future generation, people still have to. I'm not getting that. I'm getting thought block.
Don't worry, don't worry. Let's do a different question then. How could technological developments help older people and change their quality of life for the better?
I think, Alex, I'm just getting, because I just came back from my work, so I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I
don't
just
worry,
came back 5 minutes back. I came back from my work, and yeah, I was so
don't
excited.
worry.
join this class, but I'm so sorry. I will join back again, but I'm really so sorry. I could not answer all your questions.
No, that's fine, Jesse. That's fine. So that's the thing. Obviously, sometimes you are going to get questions, and you're just going to go blank. Your mind's going to go blank. It can happen, and particularly in part 3, because of the fact that the questions are more abstract. So they're asking you to just basically to speculate, and that obviously that's how I started the class, by looking at language for speculation. So what could we look at then in terms of some tips in terms of dealing with questions that are difficult to answer? If we look at that final one, so how do you think the experience of old age will change for future generations? So this is where using expressions of speculation can help, because it gives you a bit of time, buys you a bit of time initially, so you can say, well, it's likely that people will live for longer. So possibly people have to be used to living in states of assisted living for a longer proportion of their life, something like that. But yeah, obviously if the ideas don't come, they don't come. But using these expressions for speculation just give you a few seconds to think.
The last question was really challenging, and
yeah, that's it. So, but that's it, because you're speculating though, you don't have to obviously be an expert or anything like that. It's just kind of what's the first thing that comes to your head. So thinking about maybe your children or your grandchildren, how do you think in old age it might be different for them than it was for you? Maybe there'll be differences because there'll be more technology. So maybe they'll have assistants, so they'll be able to live on their own for longer. They won't need to go into care maybe as they get older, because there will be so many gadgets and machines that will be able to keep them in their own homes. So yeah, it's asking you to obviously to kind of speculate on lots of different ideas, but it can.
I can say it in this way, that the older generation, they need to learn more of new technology,
Right.
and yes, so that they can get themselves updated, and
Yes.
so that they can compete themselves with the future generation, and so that they will not lag behind of their knowledge. And is this answer, can I give this way?
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse, this is the thing, because ultimately, yeah, what you're saying, it's relevant to the topic, and you're using good language as well. So just straight away, lag behind is a really nice expression to use. But yeah, and there was some really good language in there. And so I noticed, obviously, you picked yourself up on "I think so" just there.
Yeah,
Just
that
towards the
mistake
end.
I said, whenever I see you, I said I will never make. So I said that. I said I totally got blank. Like I said, now you're going to correct me.
So this is it, yeah. So you were like, oh no, I'm thinking about accuracy, and
Yes,
then
yes.
your fluency stops. So yeah, it is a balance. It's always a balance. So if you make a few mistakes with grammar, that's less important than if you don't say anything. Because obviously, if you stop, then you can't get any credit for your
Yes.
vocabulary, for
Yes.
your fluency, for your pronunciation. But yeah, but at the same time, I can see you're trying to improve. So like I say, Jesse, don't worry. The reason we do this class every week is because every week is an opportunity to get a bit stronger and to get more confident. So, and there was some really good stuff. Anyway, let me just give you a bit of feedback on some of the good stuff that you said. So, tech savvy was a really nice expression that you used, referring to younger generations. The expression to look after each other as well was nice. Some people make mistakes with that grammatically, but you used it exactly correctly. You did use a good technique earlier on. One of the questions I asked, you said that's a very good question, and then just gave you a bit of time just to think of some ideas. So yeah, so that was really good. You did use the expression "vicious circle" at one point. What's the meaning of vicious circle, just to be clear?
It is that it is like what we say. It is the thing what we see comes around again, like
Yeah, but okay, but just to be really clear, so if it's a vicious circle, it means it's something negative. So something negative that happens again and again and again.
comes again and again. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a vicious circle, but if you're saying it's not necessarily negative, you can just say it's like, it's circular. It's something which we do again and again. Or if it's something positive, you can talk about it being a virtuous circle. So it's a virtuous circle would be something positive that happens again and again. So I was thinking, because you're talking about looking after the elderly, that was more a virtuous circle, because you look after the elderly, and then your kids look after you, and that's kind of like a virtuous circle of care.
Virtuous circle.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. And just one of the things, Jesse, you said at one point, I say you. Just be aware that if you use an object, it has to be tell. So if I tell you, you can say if I say, but you can't use you. Yeah, it'll be if I say, for example, blah, 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 or if I tell you, blah, 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 but you can't say if I say you, because grammatically...
Did they say that, if I say you? I don't remember.
Do you not remember that? Okay, I just noted that down in my notes, but even if you didn't, Jessie, that's just a note for everyone watching the class, because it is a mistake some people make when they're speaking, when they're reporting what other people say. But yeah, that was it, Jessie. But I said some really nice use of language in there, some new expressions as well, which I've not heard you use previously. So some really good stuff.
I'm sorry about it. The last question I was totally I cannot complete it.
Don't worry, don't worry.
I will try my best again, Alex.
Exactly, that's the key. Okay, thank you very much, Jessie, and best of luck going forward. As Gladys said, we're all praying for you in India, so best of luck going forward, Jessie.
I really need the prayers, yeah.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to move on to do some more practice. Just before we do, I just want to remind you of the scholarship program, which of course provides the opportunity to sorry, let me just bring this up. Yeah, provides the opportunity for nurses who want to live and work in the United States. If this is something which is a dream for you, and I'm sure for many of you it is, which is why you're watching today, then do join us at the IELTS Scholarship Program, where we work together with Connetics, which is the biggest recruiter of nurses to the United States, in order to provide you with the support and the skills that you need in order to achieve this dream going forward. So I'm going to share the link in the chat box again. Just click on that link if this is an opportunity you would like to take advantage of, and click on the option for staff nurse. Okay, so we're going to continue with some more practice, and we're going to look at a new topic. This time we're going to be looking at the topic of companies. So in order to practice this with us, let's see who is in the class. I'm going to bring Alice into the class. Hi there, Alice.
Hi, Alex.
How are you this week?
Very well.
Very well, good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, not been too stressful, I hope.
Well, I would say we've been quite busy because we still have high cases of COVID. We're still on lockdown, but we are hoping that very soon we shall be out of it.
Okay, fingers crossed. Yeah, in the UK we're beginning to reduce restrictions, so yeah, we're hoping obviously around other countries around the world the same will happen, because then we can visit.
Okay.
Because I'd quite like to visit some other countries. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yes.
Okay, Alice, so I'm going to ask you some questions on the topic of companies today.
Okay.
And the first question I have for you is, what are the differences between a big company and a small company?
Well, I think for a big company, you expect that it may have branches in several countries, and most of the big companies are actually international. That is to mean that they are available or they have branches in many countries. Though for the small companies, I believe that most of them do not have a big number of branches. And in terms of the number of staff, they have less number of staff as compared to big companies. I also believe that for the big companies, they have better salaries for their employees, because in terms of production and whatever money they get at the end of the day, they are able to give back to their employees a lot of benefits, including insurance, medical cover, unlike in small companies whereby since they do not make a lot of money, they're not able to pay their salaries, their employees enough salaries. And you find that most of the employees in big companies are not well motivated, like in the small companies.
And do you think that people at the executive level within big companies should be paid a higher salary than other workers in those companies?
Well, to be honest, I don't think the salary gap should be very huge. I guess most of them in the executive posts are well educated. I think they should try and make sure that as much as they will not give everyone equal salaries, they could give them comparative salaries based on everybody's level of education or the nature of the work that they do.
What are the advantages and the disadvantages of working in a large company?
I guess that in a big company, or rather in a large company, one is likely to get promoted because based on the activities that take place, there are several opportunities because the company keeps on growing into a bigger company. So they create more opportunities, and that would mean that for those who have worked for quite some time, they're likely to get promoted easily, unlike in a smaller company where the growth pattern is slow. And since the employer may not be able to employ more people, most people may remain stagnant in their positions for quite a long time.
Okay. Which type of companies do you think are best placed to recover from the current global pandemic?
Well, from my experience or from what I have observed, I believe that most companies that offer services, for example, the counseling services, people who offer transport services are actually doing quite well because most people are not able to travel across their countries and they have to send, for example, parcels. So the companies that offer transport services, the companies that offer counseling services, with the many cases that we have for mental health, which are resulting because of the COVID infections, that is the part that is for the part of the family members and even the patients themselves. I think those are likely to improve even after the COVID has cleared. But the other thing that I think would help people to be able to improve after the pandemic are those people who are able to use the digital platform to sell their wares. I have seen people who started off just last year, and they're doing quite well because they have made use of the digital platforms to sell their wares, and they are able to reach out to a big number of customers.
And which companies do you think will struggle most to recover?
Well, I guess those ones who will not, for example, use the digital platform, those who are not actually looking at the digital, technology as a way of doing business. They want to remain manual. They want to reach out to their customers by making calls. Those may take a bit longer, and they may actually not do well in future unless they start using the internet and the social networks to get to their customers.
Okay, thank you very much, Alice. Some really developed responses there to those questions. You had a lot to say on this point. Is this an area that you have a particular interest in, or did you just feel quite chatty today?
I think I just felt you didn't get me off guard as you
were
did last
prepared.
time.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I didn't even expect you were going to point out on me, but I think you took a bit of time, and then I was able to relax a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you were definitely prepared this time. So, yeah, really long, developed responses, logical responses as well. Well organized in terms of what you were saying. It was clear to follow the ideas that you were communicating. Some nice use of comparative language in there. Talking about better salaries at one point. In terms of making comparisons between these companies. You talked about a small number of companies at one stage as well. Just a slight error, just talking about comparisons. You said less number of staff. So it would either be fewer staff or a smaller number of staff.
A smaller number, okay.
Yeah, so you could go either way with it. Yeah.
A smaller number or fewer staff.
Exactly that,
Thank
Alice.
you.
Yeah, good.
You.
But yeah, apart from that, really nice comparative. So yeah, nice expressions as well. You talked about the salary gap. You talked about you were expanding. You weren't using just simple vocabulary. As always, you were using more advanced vocabulary. So you're talking about the nature of the work they do, variety and tenses as well. Companies, they keep on growing. Time references you talked about for quite some time as well. So these are some nice expressions that you were using. There was one point when you were talking about companies that would benefit, and you were talking about transport companies, and that was great. But what you're talking about at one stage was logistics in terms of delivering parcels from place to place.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might have been a nice term to use there as well.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
But yeah, some really good stuff there, Alice. Yeah, your pronunciation's really clear as well, and yeah, your fluency is clearly at a high level as you show your ability to develop on these points. So so thank you very much, Alice, and well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on now then to part 2 for the final part of the class today, and with part 2, of course, the task is a little bit different. So this part of the test will usually last between 3 to 4 minutes. It begins with the presentation of a question. You then have 1 minute to prepare your response before speaking for up to 2 minutes. Okay, so you should ensure that you make notes during your preparation time, and you should always aim to speak for 2 minutes, because in the exam it may be the case that the examiner requires you to go for the full 2 minutes, and so you need to be prepared for that eventuality. So we're going to be bringing in a new student to do some part 2 practice with us. Let's see who we've got today. We've got Netra in today's class, so let me bring Netra in. Hi there, Netra.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
I'm
you.
good.
Yeah. There's
I'm good.
just there's just a slight bit of background noise, but I can hear you quite clearly.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
That's
switch off
okay.
the actually television was going on. Okay.
Ah, okay. You've got a bit of TV entertainment
Yeah.
going on there. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, Netra. So we're going to look at a part 2 question together. So
Yes.
let me bring this up so you can see that on your screen. So we just spoke before about companies, so we're going in the reverse order this time. So can you see the question on your screen?
Good.
Hello, Netra.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the
Yep,
topic.
okay,
Yeah.
so Netra, great. Okay, so you've got 1 minute then to prepare your response.
Yes.
Okay, Netra, are you ready to begin?
Yes. So
Okay.
India. Okay. I'll start. Can I
Yeah,
start?
you go. Yep, you can start. Yep.
Yes, India is a fastly developing country, and we have many companies like local, this thing, private as well as public organizations are there. And out of those, I would like to describe here one private company in which I am interested. So it's about Tata Industry, and owner and chairperson is Ratan Tata, and they have a hospital in my city itself. It is dedicated for the cancer treatment, and that hospital is named like Tata Hospital, and which is quite popular in my city. And since I had completed my diploma in nursing, I have been interested to work in that hospital. But actually, we need to have special diploma in oncology. So, in foreseeable future, I would like to complete that diploma so I can join over there as a nurse, as a registered nurse. And furthermore, I can go for masters in nursing. In oncology, so that is what the special dedicated branch to care the patient who are suffering with different kind of cancers, different stages of cancer, so I can take care of them. And that I have that desires to accomplish that post graduation, so I can join in that organization. I have special fascination about that organization because I personally respect Ratan Tata, who is eminent businessman, but he's a great philanthropist and he's a well-known personality in my country, and that's the reason I have that desire to join his organization. Many of my friends, they are working over there and they are well satisfied. There is a job satisfaction, and simultaneously there is a greener pasture for them because many of them, they are getting promotions at their different level, and that's the reason I have this keen interest.
Thank you, Netra. Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. So you had a lot to say on this topic.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought, because you were speaking so quickly, I thought you're going to run out of things to say. You're going to, but you didn't. You kept on talking. Yeah. So I'm not. So we have obviously before I've given you this advice in terms of just slowing down a bit,
Yeah.
Because you did go very quickly.
Actually, last 10 days I had not in practice. I'm not doing anything. Actually, I lost my sister in this pandemic, so I was quite busy with all those things. So I was away from practice, but I thought today I will join because anyway I have to accomplish this also. That's the reason. Maybe again I'm losing my confidence. Actually, I was
I'm so
a bit
sorry.
nervous. So,
So sorry to hear that. But that's the thing, so Netra, because it's actually more difficult to speak quickly than it is to speak more slowly for most people. Because the thing is, obviously, when you speak really quickly, it can be just it takes more energy, it takes more effort. It's it's actually more of a challenging thing.
And it affects my pronunciations also. Yeah.
Well, your pronunciation was good, but it does affect intonation. Yeah, so it means that you can show less variety in your intonation because of the fact that when you speak really quickly, it's difficult to kind of pause. It's difficult to kind of, to sort of drop your voice a bit lower or to go a bit higher. Just, you know what I mean? To show like variety in terms of what it is that you're trying to communicate. But your fluency was good because you kept talking. You had lots of things to talk about. You provided some really nice language in there. Obviously, you were talking about the healthcare profession, so you had a lot of good stuff in there that you knew, like oncology treatment was on something which you came up with. You're talking about, it was dedicated for cancer treatment, and then you also used some really nice language as well. You said that the guy was a philanthropist, which was a really nice term to use. At one point, did you say that he was an eminent businessman? Is that the expression?
Actually, he's a businessman. Yeah, eminent. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, eminent businessman.
Eminent. Okay, it's not eminent.
Yeah.
Okay. Eminent,
it's with an e, because if you say imminent, that means something that will happen soon. But if you say
eminent,
if you say eminent, that's someone who is important. Yeah, so that's the one. But yeah, that's obviously a nice term to use in that context. Yeah, an eminent businessman. So there were some nice ways you were linking your ideas together as well. So you're talking about a business in which I'm interested. Nice linking, cohesion, which is an element of fluency in speaking. Furthermore, in order to link your ideas as well, job satisfaction, which was a nice expression to use, very much relevant to the topic. So yeah, some really good vocabulary there, Netra. Yeah, what I would say is the main point is just try and slow down just a little bit, so you can use more intonation. But aside from that, I thought it was really good. And yeah, obviously we looked at the difference between eminent and imminent. But But yeah, aside from that, really good stuff, Netra. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
And take care. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we've got time to bring another student into the class to do some practice. I just want to say, obviously, this is such a difficult time for everyone. The real benefit of being able to do this class is to bring people in from all over the world, but people obviously in parts of the world, particularly in India, are going through really difficult times at the moment. So I've got so much respect for the students who join us and practice and continue focusing on their goals moving forward, despite going through such difficult times. So I've got so much respect for you, and I really hope that you achieve the goals that you're looking to achieve. So Cheryl, I'm going to bring you in next. Are you there? Hi, Cheryl, are you there? No, you're on silent. Okay. Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Cheryl is able to join us. You can see that Eagle has joined us. Let me bring Eagle in. Are you there, Eagle?
Yes, hello.
Hi there, Eagle. Good to hear from you. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear it. Are you ready to do some part 2 practice?
So let's give it a try.
Let's give it a try. Good. I like the attitude. Let's give it a try indeed. So we're going to look at the topic of foreign countries now. So you have a minute to look at the question, Eagle, and of course you may make notes if you wish. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, we've just lost that. Just pressed the wrong button there. Let me bring that back. Be one moment. Cheryl has said that she was on duty just then as well, so I can appreciate people are doing this whilst at work and studying at the same time. It takes a lot of dedication. Okay, so let me bring this up. Here we go. Can you see that, Eagle?
Yes, yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so you've got 1 minute to prepare.
Okay.
Okay, Eagle, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay, so please describe a foreign country you would like to learn about.
Well, I would like to learn more about America. So, well, actually, I have relatives in the USA. But then again, I'm not actually so sure about uh, the, the the real customs in the state, and of course, the way of living in America. So, well, in the fact that I'm want to live there and I want to work there, so I'm starting to research all about America, about the way of their living, specifically their customs or the tradition that they have in the state. Well, I'm really excited to be there and to go around in the country. Well, or in the specific state that I'm going to. Well, honestly speaking, I don't have much idea about everything in that specific place or in specific state. But then again, I'm willing to look forward about that state or that country. Uh, but then again, um, my aunties are and other my relatives are there, so well I have some points that I want to do, and the things that they usually say
Okay.
to do.
Thank you, Eagle. Thank you. That's great. So good stuff there. You kept speaking for the full 2 minutes on the topic of America, um, and there was some nice use of vocabulary in there as well. So you're talking about the customs there in a foreign country, the different way of living. You said that you were starting to research into the United States, which is good to hear. Yeah, you also you expressed where you said I don't have much idea about the states, so that was a nice expression that you used as well. And then also some nice sort of discourse features, so like ways that you linked your ideas together. You said I don't have much idea, but then again you have relatives living there, so you were sort of linking ideas together, which is a good element for fluency. Just a few things I wanted to address, Eagle, in terms of meaning. So you said I'm willing to look forward about that country,
Ano?
which I wasn't quite sure about what you were trying to express in terms of the meaning. So if you look forward to something, it means you're excited about doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is that what you meant?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so in that case, yeah, I wouldn't say willing, because obviously this doesn't quite fit. So if you just said, yeah, I'm really looking forward to visiting the country, then that would be a much more appropriate way to express the idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and just be careful as well about repetition, because there were some times where you're repeating yourself a little bit, where you used the expression way of living, you used it a couple of times. You also you also repeated the words in the question. So you said, I would like to learn more about it, which is not wrong, but it's just you're not paraphrasing as much. So you can see learn, so would learn about is already in the question, so you might paraphrase that by saying, so I'd like to find out more information about, just to kind of at least paraphrase a bit, or I'd like to look into blah blah, I'd like to look into the United States more. So you're able to kind of again use those paraphrasing expressions just to show more variety in vocabulary. Also, just be careful with hesitation. So there were some moments where you were pausing a bit, and it's natural to hesitate to a certain extent, but there were certain times where you were hesitating perhaps a little bit too often, so that would lower your fluency scores. So I would say, kind of opposite to Netra, that at some cases you want to sort of reduce the pausing just to kind of increase the pace a little bit more.
Okay.
But apart from that, well done. Yeah, thanks for getting involved, Eagle, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the class today. So thank you very much to all of those who have participated, either live in the class or those who have watched and contributed on Facebook and YouTube. We will, of course, be back next week with more speaking practice. So if you would like to get involved in that, then do take advantage of the scholarship offer, the scholarship program, which you can sign up for today. And by doing so, one of the benefits is being able to get involved in live practice and to get feedback on all elements of the IELTS exam. So if your goal is to work as a nurse in the United States, join us with the scholarship program. We at Swoosh English work with Connetics USA in order to provide opportunities for those who would like to make that move to the United States. All you have to do is click on the link, which I'm going to share in the chat box, and click on the option of staff nurse in order to find out more about this opportunity. So thanks once again to all those watching the class, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, take care.